Merry Christmas, and thank you so much for joining us for Trends and Friends. Today is Wednesday, December 25th. I'm Rochelle Day.
And I'm Heidi Wagner.
We hope you guys are having a very happy holiday. We love Christmas, of course, because it's such a special day, but it's such a good day to spend with your family and your friends. But unfortunately, there are some who can't really enjoy this holiday from their own homes.
That's right. That's why we are actually here at Covenant Children's trying to bring some joy to the little ones and their families who are here this Christmas.
Absolutely. And before we get into all of that, I do want to tell you we have some interesting Christmas books coming up, and we'll get to those a little bit later in the show. But I know for some of you, you may be wanting to volunteer this holiday. And so we're going to talk to our friend Christine Neugebauer, who is part of those volunteer activities. We thank you so much for letting us come out and talk about this. Absolutely. I know that you guys already have a lot of volunteers on your roster, so to speak, but there's also people who are coming in and wanting to volunteer all the time. What are some things that they should keep in mind when they're doing that?
Yes, these are great questions, and we do have some different ways that we can have the community come and be involved with our hospital. First of all, we have a Child Life Playroom volunteer program. Many of these volunteers are college students who want to go into the healthcare field, or they want to become child life specialists. And so they complete an application. We require a lot of making sure they're up to date on their immunizations. We have to do a background check on anybody who's going to directly interact with our children at the bedside. So the process can take a couple of weeks. We do a little bit of an interview to make sure they're the right fit for our department. We also have sometimes groups that want to do community visits and do something special for our patients, particularly in our children's theater performance space, which is where we are right now. And for those, we actually have a different application process. You don't have to have a background check. You don't have to have your immunizations. However, you have to complete this application that states what event do you want to provide for our patients. And these are small events that patients that can come out of their rooms can come down and participate, or they can watch it live streamed. For example, if we have a group that wants to come do a reading, like you guys are. And we also have artist volunteers. So we have some people who have a specialty in art, and they come once a week. And again, those would have to go through the background check and the immunizations to go room to room visits.
Okay. Now, where should they go to actually volunteer?
So on the Covenant Children's website, they can Google search Covenant Children's Child Life Volunteers or Community Visitor applications. They can also find my email on the Covenant Children's website. So search for Christine Neugebauer, and they can email me for any of that information.
Very good. Thank you so much for all the great information, and hopefully those of you at home can take that to heart and help these kiddos out and
really
enjoy their holiday here.
So thankful for everyone in the community and for you guys here today.
Thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Trends and Friends.
All right. Hey guys, it's Kelsey. I'm here with Trends and Friends, and we're going to read you a book called Pete the Cat's 12 Groovy Days of Christmas. On the first day of Christmas, Pete gave to me a road trip to the sea. Groovy. On the second day of Christmas, Pete gave to me, got some presents. I wonder what it's going to be. 2 fuzzy gloves and a road trip to the sea. Groovy. He's got a friend now. There's 2 of them. On the third day of Christmas, Pete gave to me, oh, there's another cat. 3 yummy cupcakes, 2 fuzzy gloves, and a road trip to the sea. Now they're all in the bus. On the 4th day of Christmas, Pete gave to me, ooh, look at those. That's cool. 4 Far Out surfboards, 3 yummy cupcakes, 2 fuzzy gloves, and a road trip to the sea. Groovy. This is getting full, guys. On the 5th day of Christmas, Pete gave to me, the presents are getting bigger. 5 onion rings. I almost missed it. 4 Far Out surfboards, 3 yummy cupcakes, 2 fuzzy gloves, and a road trip to the sea. Groovy! Oh, look at that. That looks good. On the 6th day of Christmas, Pete gave to me. Oh, they're going to a shop. 6 skateboards, rollings, 5 onion rings, 4 far out surfboards, 3 yummy cupcakes, 2 fuzzy gloves, and a road trip to the sea. Groovy! Oh, look, guys, they're all riding the surfboards. Look at that. On the 7th day of Christmas, Pete gave to me. Oh, new friend. 7 concert tickets, 6 skateboards rolling, 5 onion rings, 4 far out surfboards, 3 yummy cupcakes, 2 fuzzy gloves, and a road trip to the sea. They are having a blast. Look at that. On the 8th day of Christmas, Pete gave to me. They're running out of room over here, guys. 8 guitars strumming, 7 concert tickets, 6 skateboards rolling, 5 onion rings, 4 fallout skateboards, 3 yummy cupcakes, 2 fuzzy gloves, and a road trip to the sea. Groovy! Oh, now they're jamming out. They went to the concert, so they had to get the guitars. Look at that, guys. On the 9th day of Christmas, Pete gave to me. That's a lot of presents for him to hold. 9 ugly sweaters, 8 guitars strumming, 7 concert tickets, 6 skateboards rolling, 5 onion rings, 4 fallout skateboards, 3 yummy cupcakes, 2 fuzzy gloves, and a road trip to the sea. Look at all their cool. Look at those sweaters. Those are some good sweaters. On the 10th day of Christmas, Pete gave to me. Oh, here's a tree. 10 sloths of sleeping, 9 ugly sweaters, 8 guitars strumming, 7 concert tickets, 6 skateboards rolling, 5 onion rings, 4 surfboards, 3 yummy cupcakes, 2 fuzzy gloves, and a road trip to the sea. Groovy! This is getting full, guys. Look at that. That is a full bus right there. On the 11th day of Christmas, Pete gave to me. Oh, they got a banana. The monkey's got a banana. 11 balls of bouncing, 10 sloths of sleeping, 9 ugly sweaters, 8 guitars strumming, 7 concert tickets, 6 skateboards rolling, 5 onion rings, 4 fallout surfboards, 3 yummy cupcakes, 2 fuzzy gloves, and a road trip to the sea. Groovy! Look at that. That's a lot of balls right there. Look at that. They're all bouncing. On the 12th day of Christmas, Pete gave to me. 12 friends are rocking, 11 balls are bouncing, 10 sloths are sleeping, 9 ugly sweaters, 8 guitars strumming, 7 concert tickets, 6 skateboards rolling, 5 onion rings, 4 fallout surfboards, 3 yummy cupcakes, 2 fuzzy gloves. Oh, that is a full beach partying, guys. Look at that. They're all there. They got the whole gang. And a road trip to the sea. Groovy. There you go. There they are. Thanks for watching, guys. The new year.
Hi everyone, I'm Rashea Day with Trends and Friends, and I'm going to be reading to you The Polar Express. Now this is one of my kids' very favorite books, so please forgive me. There's a lot of pages in here that are already torn to pieces, but we're going to get through it anyway. The Polar Express, written and illustrated by Chris von Allsburg. On Christmas Eve, many years ago, I lay quietly in my bed. I did not rustle the sheets. I breathed slowly and silently. I was listening for a sound a friend had told me I'd never hear. The ringing bells of Santa's sleigh. There's no Santa, my friend had insisted, but I knew he was wrong. Later that night, I did hear sounds, though not of ringing bells. From outside came the sounds of hissing steam and squeaking metal. I looked through my window and saw a train standing perfectly still in front of my house. It was wrapped in an apron of steam. Snowflakes fell lightly around it. A conductor stood at the open door of one of the cars. He took a large pocket watch from his vest, then looked up at my window. I put on my slippers and robe. I tiptoed downstairs and out the door. "All aboard!" the conductor cried out. I ran up to him. "Well," he said, "are you coming?" Where? I asked. Why, to the North Pole, of course, was his answer. This is the Polar Express. I took my outreached pocket, my hand, and pulled me up on board. The train was filled with other children, all in their pajamas and nightgowns. We sang Christmas carols and ate candies with nougat centers, as white as snow. We drank hot cocoa, as thick and rich as melted chocolate bars. Outside, the lights of town and villages flickered in the distance as the Polar Express raced northward. Soon, there were no more lights to be seen. We traveled through cold, dark forests where lean wolves roamed and white-tailed rabbits hid from our train as it thundered through the quiet wilderness. We climbed mountains so high it seemed as if we would scrape the moon, but the Polar Express never slowed down. Faster and faster we ran along, rolling over peaks and through valleys like a car on a roller coaster. The mountains turned into hills, the hills to snow-covered plains. We crossed a barren desert of ice, the great polar ice cap. Lights appeared in the distance. They looked like the lights of a strange ocean liner sailing on a frozen sea. There, said the conductor, is the North Pole. The North Pole. It was a huge city standing alone at the top of the world, filled with factories where every Christmas toy was made. At first, we saw no elves. They're gathering at the center of town, the conductor told us. That is where Santa will give the first gift of Christmas. Who receives the first gift? We all asked. The conductor answered, he will choose one of you. Look, shouted one of the children, the elves. Outside, we saw hundreds of elves. As our train drew closer to the center of the North Pole, we slowed to a crawl. So crowded were the streets with Santa's helpers. When the Polar Express could go no further, we stopped and the conductor led us outside. We pressed through the crowd to the edge of a large open circle. In front of us stood Santa's sleigh. The reindeer were excited. They pranced and paced, ringing the silver sleigh bells that hung from their harnesses. It was a magical sound like nothing I'd ever heard. Across the circle, the elves moved apart and Santa Claus appeared. The elves cheered wildly. He marched over to us and pointed at me and said, let's have this fellow here. He jumped into his sleigh. The conductor handed me up. I sat on Santa's knee and he asked, now what would you like for Christmas? I knew that I could have any gift I could imagine, but the thing I wanted more for Christmas was not inside Santa's giant bag. What I wanted more than anything was one silver bell from Santa's sleigh. When I asked, Santa smiled. Then he gave me a hug and told an elf to cut a bell from a reindeer's harness. The elf tossed it up to Santa. He stood holding the bell high above him and called out, the first gift of Christmas! A clock struck midnight as the elves roared their approval. Santa handed the bell to me and I put it on in my bathrobe pocket. The conductor helped me down from the sleigh. Santa shouted out the reindeers' names and cracked his whip. His team charged forward and climbed into the air. Santa circled once above us and disappeared in the cold, dark polar sky. As soon as we were back inside the Polar Express, the other children asked to see the bell. I reached into my pocket, but the only thing I felt was a hole. I had lost the silver bell from Santa Claus's sleigh. Let's hurry outside and look for it, one of the children said. But the train gave a sudden lurch and started moving. We were on our way home. It broke my heart to lose the bell. When the train reached my house, I sadly left the other children. I stood at my door and waved goodbye. The conductor said something from the moving train, but I couldn't hear him. What? I yelled out. He cupped his hands around his mouth. Merry Christmas, he shouted. The Polar Express let out a loud blast from its whistle and sped away. On Christmas morning, my little sister Sarah and I opened our presents. When it looked as if everything had been unwrapped, Sarah found one last small box behind the tree. It had my name on it. Inside was the silver bell. There was a note. Found this in the seat of my sleigh. Fix that hole in your pocket. Signed, Mr. C. I shook the bell. It made the most beautiful sound my sister and I had ever heard. But my mother said, "Oh, that's too bad." "Yes," said Father, "it's broken." When I'd shaken the bell, my parents had not heard the sound. At one time, most of my friends could hear the bell. But as years passed, it fell silent for all of them. Even Sarah found one Christmas that she could no longer hear its sweet sound. Though I've grown old, the bell still rings for me, as it does for all who truly believe. The end. I hope you enjoy the Polar Express.
Hello, everyone. I'm Heidi Wagner from Trends and Friends, and we're going to be reading The Night Before Christmas, a great book by Clement C. Moore. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there rose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave a luster of midday to objects below. When what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. Very exciting. With a little old driver, so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer, now Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with the obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop, the coursers they flew, with sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. Happens when you go down the chimney. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry, his cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight to his teeth, and the smoke it enriched his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not of a word, but went straight to his work and filled all the stockings and turned with a jerk. And laying his finger aside of his nose and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night." And that's the end. Hope you enjoyed it.
Get a bonus Christmas, everyone.
That's right. Have a happy holiday, and we'll see you back here at 6 o'clock.